You can resolve to be stress-free in the new year. You can also resolve to be a better leader, too. You don't even have to be a boss to do it. Leaders can be parents, students, and friends. And here to tell us how we can improve our skills are Stephen Mundell and Sharon Massett, the authors of The Alchemy of Authentic Leadership. And that's what we were talking about earlier. You don't have to be a boss. You can be a leader of your own life.
Well, it's the first of a new year, and it's an absolute truth. It isn't a matter of the position that you attain, it's how you believe it on the inside. And we're all leaders, whether we're family, running a family or running a large company. It's time to take charge of your money, your health, your emotions. This is the perfect time of the year to do that.
What better time? So your first tip is to know your triggers. What do you mean by that?
Well, let's just say you got cut off in traffic on the way to work today. You can get angry and ruin your day or somebody else's day, or just as we heard the previous guest, you can just relax, take a breath, and watch that inner trigger in yourself.
And every leader has their own triggers. For example, I don't like lazy people, and so I have a tendency to trigger or have a reaction to lazy people. But every leader, if they start to become aware of where do they get hot under the collar, and then go back into their childhood to see like what started that kind of a trigger, and do some inner healing work on that so that they come across much more calm and in control.
Great tip. Now the next one is the difference between risky behavior and risk-taking behavior. Now, where does the difference lie, and which one should we try to do more of this year?
All leaders have to take risk. It's just a part of what we do. But at the same time, there is a fine line, and most of us know it internally. I think most of us know ethically when we've crossed that line from taking calculated risk to a risky situation. And that's something that all of us have to be aware of. Every single day, no matter where we are, do we take the risk, or do we really jump into risky behavior?
There's a part of neuroscience in that. As a psychotherapist, I understand that as we evolved, we all evolved to sin. I mean, we, spelled with the C, we love complex, innovative, and new experiences. And so a leader, that's great because they're always into new inventions and new territory. But we just have to know when that's risky and when it's good.
And I think we just covered this a few minutes ago with our last segment, but we have to practice good stress management, no matter what, no matter who we are.
And you know, we've all worked for bosses who are hot under the collar,
Yes.
or who you know, this is the kind of thing where as a boss you have a responsibility. As a leader you have a responsibility, whether it's to your children or to your employees. And the responsibility is not to jump when you get afraid or when you get angry. It's to really kind of watch your own emotional health, because everybody is watching you as the leader. Make sure that you're in a good position.
And you have to focus on the positive to do that, and that's your next tip too.
Right. You know that there is a way that we need to align ourselves, you know, with positive thinking, because that if you're negative, your employees can feel it, or your family can feel it the minute you walk into a room. And so when you start from the top down and put that positive energy into your company, the whole environment is different.
And now lastly, your last tip is begin some sort of spiritual endeavor. No matter what spiritual journey that is, just to have one is imperative.
You know, it's a spiritual practice of again, it kind of goes back to that idea of living ethically and authentically. Really, that's just all of it. Most of us are so attuned to either faking it or doing something that's not authentic that we just don't know how to be. So we talk about the idea of having a spiritual practice. That might be church for some people. It might be a walk in the woods for others. A spiritual practice is really getting to a higher place within yourself. When you're there at that higher place, you become a better leader in your life, and others will gravitate to you.
Yeah, when you have a spiritual practice, you can allow for something greater than yourself, and it gives you time to contemplate kind of everything that's going on.
Yeah, right. We need a North Star. And there is a tendency for people to turn power over to leaders. Everybody needs, wants somebody around who's very sure of themselves. So like for Lance Armstrong, we turned power over to him. He was the greatest, or some of our politicians. And we all need to be very aware of how we as leaders need to be grounded in something ethical. And volunteering is great for that because it opens your heart, and getting your employees to volunteer is wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I think, with the new year, a lot of people out there, they're looking for answers. So thank you for all your tips. Hopefully people
Thank you.
can get closer to an answer. And ahead on Mass Appeal.